I'm Shannon Stubbs, the MP for Lakeland in Alberta that I've represented since 2015, and also the Shadow Minister for Natural Resources for Pierre Poilievre's Common Sense Conservative Official Opposition. I'm really pleased to be joined by a neighbor down the highway from us, one of my constituents, and a guy with a whole bunch of important roles that I'll let him tell you.
Well, I'm here this week with the Canadian Cattle Association meetings. We have our AGM. So I sit on the Canadian Cattle Association and have been for about 8 years. I am co-chair of the Animal Health and Care, and I also sit on the Environment Committee, but I also represent Alberta. I am a director with the Alberta Beef Producers, and I also sit on the board, which my wife was chair of just 2 years ago. So we spent a lot of time talking cattle business, talking carbon tax, talking the amount of money that it costs us to raise our beef animals and the amount of money it costs us to feed the world.
And that's so important. That really is the mission and the goal and the value of Canadian farmers, is to be able to feed Canadians and also to be able to feed the world. Conservatives have long been advocating to axe the carbon tax for all for good. But recently, before we get a chance to do that, if Canadians make a choice to change the government, one of the Conservative initiatives recently was Bill C-234, which was at least to give a break of the carbon tax from farm fuels so that farmers in Canada can afford to run their operations, afford to feed themselves, their fellow Canadians, and the world. I don't think anybody needs to be told that after 9 years of these NDP Liberals, people are having more difficulty than ever affording groceries. Historic numbers of Canadians are forced to visit food banks, or they're skipping meals, or they're limiting nutritious food in their diets. It's because they can't afford the grocery store bills. And Miles, I think it's really important for people everywhere, including urban consumers at grocery stores, to really get the impact of the carbon tax and the impact on the cost for producers that ends up in these, that ends up fueling these skyrocketing grocery prices that everybody gets hurt by.
Well, we live 40 miles from the closest grocery store, so we pay carbon tax on the fuel in which we drive over to get the groceries. And those groceries, to get to these smaller towns that are 5,000 people, it costs them a lot of money to get it there, so the cost of groceries have gone up immensely. And that's just a portion of what it takes to get going. We export 50% of the beef out of this country. So in order to produce that beef, we've got to be in an even playing field with countries around the world that we deal with. But we're dealing with countries that don't have a carbon tax. So it goes right down to delivering fertilizer, our trucks that haul our cattle to market. Everything we buy, whether it's a pot or a pan, there's carbon tax that people have paid to get that to the store. So we are constantly inundated, whether we're heating our barns or cooling our barns, whether we have a chicken operation, a dairy operation, or a horse barn, or cattle in the barn, and right now it's calving season, and we go through some cold snaps. All those barns are being paid, it costs money to heat them, and grain drying. So we are doing a constant, amazing job raising our cattle. Our cattle are grazing grass. We're sequestering carbon each and every time.
Right.
We are constantly looking for new innovations, whether it's solar pump systems, to use less fuel, just to do whatever we can do to save the environment. And we are running a sustainable business. Our grain farmers are zero tilling, and they are sequestering carbon all the time. But yet we are constantly paying it, and the rebates are not even near, what they could be or should be. We're net zero. We're a net zero ag sector, and we're very proud of it.